koutou te whānau, ni bula malo kia orana. Really nice to have you back here with me. My name is Whaea Bec and you are welcome in my little art shed here in Northland today, and hopefully you are ready to get some creative action happening at your place. I'll tell you who's been making some cool creative stuff at home. Some people that have sent some photos into me, so I really want to share those with you now and encourage those that have been sending work in. So our first picture that we have here is Emily Matthews. This is her perspective drawing of a room. We did our rooms a little while ago. Here's Annalise Gray, who's 9 years old, and while this wasn't something we did during our daily diary, she has been absolutely incredibly creative. She's 9, she's created a medieval horse village. See her cool horses in there. This is Michael S, and he's year 7 from Auckland, and he watched our Taonga, My Treasures lesson, and he's drawn his PlayStation controller and a little soccer ball there. So well done, Michael S from Auckland, that's awesome. This is Rio's work. He's done a map of his bedroom using Jenga blocks. It could be a map or it could be just a drawing of his bedroom. Amazing work. I love the three-dimensional aspect of that. Harry's got his little doorway into his room there. There's his bed there by the looks. And his brother Romeo, this is his version of the same idea. Well done, you two boys. Martha's Treasured Items. This is another Tonga drawing of treasures, and you can see she's got all her treasures beautifully drawn in that picture, along with this other piece that she's sent in. Fantastic work. And last but certainly not least, I can see the name Hamiora in the top corner there, with the picture that he's drawn. Absolutely amazing work. Good guys, great stuff, good effort. I love seeing them. Please keep sending them in. Well done. If you would like to send your work in, please take a photo, send it to with the title Daily Diary, text 5811, or you can email them into info@hltv.co.nz. Remember to put Daily Diary so that it gets to me. I would love to see those. Alright, so really great to see those examples. And if you were with us last time, you will remember that we talked a little bit about the seasons. Tukaro, autumn, and the colours that we used, or that we often thought about for that season, are whiro, karaka, kōwhai, red, orange, yellow, because of the way that the leaves are changing during this season. And I talked about how it's a lot more, you see a lot more of turning trees down in the South Island than you do here in Northland, although we do have some. So that was part of this big project that we've been doing, looking at Whaea. We've looked at recently where we live, mapping where we've lived, your natural environment. We have been learning a lot, and well done if you've done every single one. You might have missed some, that's fine too. So last time we looked at our natural environment and we looked at leaves, and we're going to continue on with that today and connect that all together. So today we're going to make patterns using things from nature, and in my instance I'm going to use leaves because that's what I have around me. And I've got some important artworks to show you of artists that use nature-looking objects in their work. This is Whatuwheu, and you can see this here looks like a leaf shape. It might be a leaf, but it also is on a long stalk, which means it could also refer to a petal. There's some leaf-looking shapes, but the way they've been arranged makes them look a little bit more like flowers. So you can see elements of nature in Whatuwheu's work. Another one I have here, you can see those similar shapes. This is by Michael Tawhiri. This one's quite detailed. Some of you seniors might be interested in drawing a detailed work from an idea you get today. Another one of Michael Tawhiri's pieces here, where he's taken the shape of a hibiscus flower by the looks and repeated a pattern as he's gone through that. Talking about repeating a pattern, we're going to do a lot of that today. We're going to look at the words repetition, rotation and symmetry. And looking at those artists' work, also reminded me of tapa cloth. I just happen to have a book on tapa cloth that I can show you and you can see. So this one here, it's got some examples of a tapa from Samoa, and you can see those same leaf shapes when put together look a little bit like flowers. This one here is from Tonga, and you can actually see, I don't know if you can see that detail, looking like plants, and there's another one of those same patterns. And then the last one, this one's from Fiji. It looks quite different, and they've used different colours. They've all done it on the same materials though, and I have a sample here, and this one is from Fiji. It's called masi, and it's bark cloth that's taken a long process to make it, a lot of soaking and beating of fibres to create that. You need quite a lot of technical knowledge to know how to make that. Similar to tapa, I think we've all seen painted kōwhaiwhai patterns on the whare tipuna in the meeting houses, or the pātaka, the storehouse, even on the prow of a waka. We've seen the same idea of patterns repeated. So we have quite a few examples that we may have already seen that shows us how to use repeated pattern and symmetry. Now some of you are probably wondering, what on earth is symmetry? I'm going to show you what that is. It's also a word that you may have learnt in maths at school. So symmetry is where something is the same on both sides. So you can see I've drawn half a leaf here, and if I was to reflect that in my mirror, you can see exactly the same thing in the reflection. So that's a good way to understand symmetry, where something is the same on both sides. When we look at symmetry in nature, we can see this leaf here has got two leaves facing that way, two leaves facing that way, and they're quite even in their placement, so that's also a really natural example of symmetry. Now, thinking about rotation, and I've taken the idea of the leaf shape. These paint colour samples have been really good cardboard for me to use to make stencils, so I cut the leaf out, the leaf shape out, stuck it down, drew around it, rotated that around, and you can see I've got one more left to go that I can draw in to complete the rotation of that shape. Now that shape could be rotated the same way each time, it could be flipped and turned up the other way. You can rotate it lots of different ways. So while it's being rotated, it is also being repeated, and that's what I mean by repeated pattern. And we see those repeated patterns in tapa cloths as well as kōwhaiwhai paintings. So we're going to have a go at doing some symmetrical type artworks that rotate in their pattern, and we use repetition with simple leaf shapes. But thinking back to tapa, is there anyone in your whānau that has knowledge of making a tapa cloth? Have a kōrero with them and see if they do. There may also be someone that has had experience painting kōwhaiwhai. See what you can find out. You'll learn a lot from people from home. Now, we've got some keywords to do before we get started. Okay, so linking in to our last few lessons, we've looked at kakano, texture, papa, surface, heta, drawing, and we're going to use all those same elements but doing it differently today. We also looked at whārangi, to spread out our leaves, huahanga, the shape, because I'm interested in the shape of leaves. Right, on to making some artwork. I was lucky enough to have some, what do they call these, origami papers at home today. I also found some office note squares. They could be useful if you want to start with a square like I have today. Otherwise, find any bit of paper you can, or draw a square somewhere and use that. So we've done rubbings before, where we've put things underneath paper, used our pencil, scribbled over the top, and that's how I've made this one. You can see I had a little boo-boo here. There's a little bit of ripped paper where my pencil was too sharp. You've got to remember to put it on the side so that you don't rip your paper. So I placed my leaf underneath and did the rubbing on top, being careful that when I repeated it, I placed it so that it was symmetrical on my page. That's one idea. My next idea looks like this, and you'll need a square piece of paper, folding it diagonal, so corner to corner, then again, and then in half again. So you should end up with a triangle. This one's quite easy. I just cut out a leaf shape. You might want to draw your leaf shape on for a start to give you some guidelines, but I've done it a few times so I know how to do it. And then that could be a nice way to create a pattern using just that simple leaf shape. A lot of my patterns today are based on one very simple leaf shape, that one right there. Alright, my next one is looking more at repetition, where I have drawn, well, I traced around this leaf actually in rows, like so, really simple, to create the idea of repetition and making a pattern using my leaf shape. Then I got my my vegetable scrap dyes that were going to go into my compost. This is my spinach one, and I wanted to create a sort of sense of autumn colours, so I did the green spinach in the middle and the beetroot skins that after I peeled my beetroot, before I thought, oh, I could boil those up and make that into a colour instead of throwing that in my compost, and let that bleed in there, and that's quite a pretty pattern, I thought. So that's one way of creating repetition. Also the texture, when that dries, is quite a natural texture. So I thought that was interesting and something that you could even work into afterwards. My next one I made on a muesli bar box, and same again with my paint colour samples. Great cardboard to use. I looked at the shape of this leaf and I liked the crooked edges that it had on it, so I kind of wanted to get a shape like that. Laid it down on my cardboard, got my marker pen and just traced around the edge, and then spent a bit of time colouring in the background. So you can imagine that that would look quite good once I finished it. This one is quite simple. I did actually fold the paper at the start just to give me a grid to work with, and then I drew my simple leaf shape and reflected those same leaf shapes in a smaller way up through the centre of that shape. That could be something that you could explore. And then this one, back to collage, just using two different colours. You could use newspaper, you could use wrapping paper, you could use lunch wrap, anything that you can find. And I cut out my leaf shape. I actually folded them in half and cut out those little bits in the middle, and then just glued them down. And then I thought, I've got all these squares, I could make my own little tapa cloth. So the best thing I thought for that would be to get my good old trusty brown shopping paper bag, because it's big enough, cut it open, and then you can lay them out and stick them down and arrange them how you think they would look best. I'll put this one over here. So you can imagine those all glued down, and you could even draw a little border. It would look really great, and then you could put it on your wall as a reminder of what you did today. And from there I thought, I actually like quite simple things, and thought I might look at repeating a sequence of patterns just using pen and a grid. So this was made on my chocolate box that I opened up, and so I was limited to the size of this paper, and so I thought, right, how do I make a grid? I first need even numbers, so I could fit 16 centimetres across that way, and you can see my little dots where I've marked 2 centimetres across the top and across the bottom, so that I could get my ruler, line that up and rule my grid. This way was 12 centimetres. Yours may not be the same length or width, because you might have a different size box to me, but keep your centimetres even so that you can get some nice even boxes, whether it's 2 centimetre boxes or 4 centimetre boxes, whatever you can fit on there. You might have to get someone to help you with the maths. And then I marked 2 centimetres that way and there, and then I lined my ruler up on those marks and ruled my lines across. I did start out in pencil in case I made a mistake, and then I could rub it out. And from there I just drew in my drawings that I'd taken from leaf shapes. So we've got this leaf shape which I've repeated round to look like that flower kind of pattern. I wanted to use a silver fern because it's reflective of our country. This shape here, I took it from this little leaf that I found in my garden. And then this one here, I just was, the way that I'd folded the paper when I was making these ones made me think of that idea. Plus I'd seen it in some other artworks and I quite like that pattern. Then I just repeated them along the boxes, and I thought about colouring in some background areas just to make it stand out a little bit more and finish that artwork off. Gosh, we've had a lot of ideas today, and I hope that it stirred your creativity, and even if you don't have the same things that I do, it might inspire you to look at other ways of doing things. Just quickly, for those of you that are really into photography, you could, like mine, arrange some leaves and some patterns and take photographs. Those ones are just flipped over the other way. And then I ran it through a filter and come up with something quite different. So that could be something that you could explore. And then if you have the technology to piece them all together in a tapa digitally, that would be amazing. I'd love to see some of those too. So I hope that today you've been inspired. I certainly have realised how beautiful and skillful pattern makers, people that make tapa and kōwhaiwhai, when they refer to nature and create these beautiful things, it certainly does look amazing. So I hope that's given you lots of food for thought, and that you will send me in some photos of your work. Just that address once more. Send it to, with the title Daily Diary, text 5811, and email in info@hltv.co.nz. We'll put that just up there so that you can see that. Awesome. So really great to spend some time with you today. Hope to see you again next time. Ka kite, mā nui.